I believe Brahms' Handel Variations is one of the greatest pieces of music ever written. I mean, I love everything about this piece. The first variation, the second, the third, the fourth. The 14th can die a horrible death, but other than that, all the variations are awesome. But what really sets this piece over the top, in fact, what made me choose to learn this over something like Haydn Variations or Brahms's Paganini Variations, was the Fugue. It's big, it's epic, it's challenging, it's everything you want a massive Brahms Fugue to be. In this video, I'm going to tell you all about it. But before I play the Fugue for you, I want you to listen to a little of that final variation before we kick off the Fugue, just so you can hear the build. And then just like a good fugue should do, it's immediately going to get its second voice entering at a fifth. So instead of starting on B flat, it's going to start on F, which is what, again, fugue should do. Okay, so that's our first statement. The first thing you expect out of a fugue, it's all four voices, it's the four-voice fugue, to be able to enter on the original melody. Now, most of this behaves as it should. I'll tell you things that are normal and things that aren't. First of all, we get our subject, a super exciting driving subject. Like when a fugue subject starts with that much speed and drive, you know it's going to be a pretty crazy fugue, so you're just going to add on voices to that. The second voice comes in. Perfect. It's in the key of F instead of the key of B flat, which is great. And then our third voice enters. This is mildly weird, only because it's entering right away. There wasn't like an in-between measure or half measure to kind of lead back to the beginning. It's not crazy weird. Bach does this sometimes too. Truly the only weird thing about that is this last measure here when the final voice enters. It enters in an inner voice, which is a little weird, and you can feel it when you play, and you can hear it too. That is the most difficult of subjects to hear, the final subject. Typically what Bach would do is have the final subject be entered at the very highest note you hear or the very lowest note. It makes it a little hard to hear. It works. I think Brahms knew it wasn't probably what Bach normally did, but it's what Brahms chose to do. I almost said Brock. That's going to happen a lot this video. Johann Sebastian von Brock. Brahms. Okay, let's listen to it again and try to track the subjects as we go along. Bass. And then Brahms kind of he's not going to don't expect it to be a Baroque fugue. Don't expect it to be a Bach fugue. He's going to use lots of the same techniques to build the epicness of it. But here we kind of have let's bring it all together. All the voices are in. Let's celebrate a little bit of this in 6 here. Okay, so here we start getting our first kind of cool technique. Brahms starts fragmenting the tune. So we get... And then instead of continuing the melody, we're going to go. And then it's almost like accelerating, right? We get this little fragment. Instead of becoming the whole, he just goes, keep going, keep going, keep going. And this time only one C sharp. Melody. Okay, this is a bear to play right here. So the left hand kind of has to tune here. Key of D flat. Now it's slightly altered. So I remember when I played this piece thinking, I wonder why he altered that. Is because what's going to happen in a second here, or is he altering it because it's easier to play? But right now we're in the key of D flat. So our first main subject is in the key of B flat, then a lot of F, right? Which, I mean, it's not really in the key of F. We reset the subject to the fifth higher, but we've really been harping on B flat. And now we get to our first main area. B flat minor becomes D flat major. However, what is this? Sound familiar to you? That's our melody. Flipped upside down. This is our main tune, but instead of going up, up, it's now heading downward. And just like Bach, Brahms makes some adjustments here and there, but I remember at this moment, at least when I played it, I kind of slowed down a little, tried to really signal the audience. This is the first time to be like, hey, did you hear that? Our tune is now heading in the wrong direction. It's so cool. And it's subtle too. Brahms is going to make a lot more of this later. It's going to become an extremely important moment. This is going to peak eventually. We're going to hear that driving downwards. But right now it just kind of sneaks in like, oh yeah, it's flipped. Up. So I want you to really start paying attention to, okay, is the melody heading down right now, or is the melody heading up? Let's keep going a little longer, and then we'll talk more. All right, this is where it starts to get crazy. It's easy to see that and go, oh, he's just playing some strong bass notes, right? Whatever, like we're supposed to have some strong bass notes, right? What is that? That's our tune. It's not flipped anymore. It's back to normal. In the original key, it's B flat, but it's been augmented. All the rhythmic values have been doubled, so it takes longer to play. And it even continues on the next line with at a slow tempo. Then while you're doing the augmentation, you have a faster fragmentation going up on top. At the same time is that is happening. Let's give that all a listen and try to hear the slow melody on the bottom and the fast fragments on top. Ready? Remember how our tune originally was in the key of B flat? Then we went to the key of F. We're doing the same thing. We did the fragmented, not the fragmented, the augmented left hand. And now we're doing the augmented on top in the key of F. And then just like before, we're going to play the rest of this melody in its augmented form, but he adds in this left hand offbeat thing that makes it sound like just a beautiful romantic chord texture. But in the midst of this, it's not just a beautiful romantic, like, oh, we're trying to be smoozy and make this beautiful sound. No, he's actually getting our original melody worked in here at half tempo while he's doing this cool texture. And if you're not used to me saying this by now, that's some more of that fragmentation going on. We're just taking little cells of the melody. Oh, let's do it here. Let's do it there. Now let's do it here. No, let's do it here. So it's like an upwards working sequence where you're taking these little parts of the melody and starting from F. starting from B flat, starting from G flat, starting from C, starting from A flat. So we're getting. So if you were to hear the first note here, the F being held out. And then it closes out there, but we're fragmenting the melody and jumping it back and forth by perfect fifth and making a sequence, an upwards moving sequence out of the melody. Hopefully you're getting the hang of this now. The left hand just now did the slowed down melody. And then did the exact same idea of the sequence. B flat, E flat, C flat, back and forth like that. I always love that part. Brahms is like, I'm stuck. He does that so many times in a row. That's kind of like our dominant melody, right? If we think about this in more of the Brahmsian point of view, is like we got to the key of 5. We're on the 5 chord trying to get back to our original melody. And this is classic. This predates like Brahms and Beethoven, and probably even predates Bach. This idea of getting us back to the melody, getting to a 5 chord, and then wiggling back and forth on lay on flat 6. It is classic. We are like now really wanting to get back and hear how he uses this 27 million times to get us back to the key of B flat. F. 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 Cool. This sounds like utter chaos in some sense, but this is like our recap in a sense, right? We've gotten to, but what's going on here? On the top we have, yeah, that's our tune. It's actually not too crazy. Then we immediately go, but what's going on in the bottom part? Yeah, this is our original melody happening at the same time in both hands. But the right hand has an upwards original melody, and the left hand's doing the downwards, the inverted one, the anti-melody at the same time. And that's why it's so clashy, because on top of that, they are both in, well, thirds. They're ones and sixths and ones and thirds at the same time. Original melody, but with a melody flipped upside down. Okay, now before we listen to this next section, I gotta say, I told you at the beginning of the video, this is what sold me. This fugue is awesome. I was really between this. I kind of wanted to play the Brahms Paganini variations. And I was like, which one do I do? It was the fugue. It might have even been this measure. It seems like we made it to the end. We made it to a big F chord. We're playing F octaves. We're like, cool. We could basically end the piece now. We could do maybe one more statement of the melody or something. And Brahms chooses in this moment to make you feel like a superhero. When you play this piece, you feel like you're doing something impossible, because so far you've been like, oh, it's kind of tough to keep these two melodies going sometimes in both hands. And Brahms says, well, you know what you can do? You can actually keep those melodies going while also keeping an F octave going at the same time. And that doesn't seem possible. You can actually, with just your right hand, keep the F octave going and throw in a downward melody. A fragmented melody. It's not the complete melody. Like Like at first you don't think that should be possible, but actually is, because obviously Brahms is a great composer and he game planned this from the beginning. He wasn't like probably into the piece and just said, oh, I just now realized this happened to work out. You can do the octaves with the melody and everything at the same time, but see if you can hear this. This is a little easier to hear. Try to really track. And the F is there just kind of to flesh out the sound, to flesh out the chord. This isn't my preference. I know lots of people when they get to this moment. This is a free recording, by the way, provided by Martha Goldstein. So thank you, Martha. I'm not picking on you. It's awesome when people get free recordings. We can make videos like this and not have to worry about copyright issues and stuff like that. A lot of people, though, really emphasize this right-hand scale. I don't know if they feel the need to like let the piece open up and soar because the piece has been so contrapuntal. But I personally really brought out because I'm like, hey, that's our tune, and now you're doing in the left hand our cool octave triplets. And so I wish you could hear that a little better. It's a little tough to hear in this recording, but you can still try to make yourself hear it. You can imagine it, nothing else. But it makes sense, kind of musically speaking. You're playing a romantic piece, so let things, the register open up and soar at these scales. But I kind of like bringing out the melody until the end here. And Brahms is like, you thought it was hard before? Well, you're actually going to do the scales and octaves now. And now the piece is over. Just kidding. Like, in this moment, you think, what else can Brahms do? Brahms has done the octaves. He did the octaves with the tune in the same hand somehow, which doesn't really seem feasible at the beginning. But then he does this. What? Are there versions of this where the last chord is tied or something? Now this ending is obviously just a big celebration and kind of that fragment becomes so instead of going away from tonic, here's B flat. It becomes our T-do to get us back to tonic. But I do have to show you, where is this chord? Oh, there it is. There it is. I know this is kind of like, some of you are going to hate me for saying this, but I could play this entire fugue and reach all the chords, all these giant chords I could reach. On the second to last line, there is this nasty B flat F, B flat D chord in your left hand. Now, I just, as an example all the time, it's like not all tenths are created equal. Some tenths are like very doable. Some filled in tenths are very doable. I mean, I say very doable. They're very hard to reach still. But this one with the black key on the bottom and the white key on top and two notes in the middle, and move out of the way my microphone, I can kind of reach it, but I definitely cannot reach it and play it strong with power. It drives me crazy. I missed that note so many times trying to play this piece because I was like, no, I will do what Brahms says. I will not roll a single chord that does not explicitly say to roll. And I just don't have the one. And it makes me kind of sad. I want my finger to reach like that much longer. I hope you've enjoyed checking out this crazy awesome piece with me. At some time, I guess I need to go back through and maybe make a video where I just highlight my favorite variations from the set, because there are some that I just adore. I mean, this is an amazing, amazing piece. When you have a chance, go listen to the whole thing front to back. It is something that makes a lot of sense to listen to all together. It's not a variation set where you play a variation and stop and play a variation and stop, but lots of them are strung together just to make one awesome 25-minute or so drama. So when you get a chunk of time, go listen to it. It's amazing. Thanks for watching the video. See you guys next one.